Hello everyone, Melody here from Motion Mixture. So this is the second episode of the first creative case study. So in the last episode we talked about the client brief and broke it down and talked about like what direction that we could take it from what this in this case the fake client, like what's their objective and all of that. And now we want to take that client brief and put it into our mind and start creating ideas from it. And that's what this episode is about. I want to talk about one of my favorite tools that I use to create mind maps. I want to show you how we can take the ideas from the client brief and start to actually get them into a mind map, and in that way we can start to build out a scene just from the keywords. Then we know what we will actually have, like all the different elements, all the different parts that will make up the scene. So we can create with attention, so all the ideas, the keywords get utilized into an object or lighting or the mood, the style, anything like that. So we actually have something with meaning that makes sense from our client's point of view or from the audience that's going to actually see it, our target audience. Okay, so I use this website called cockle.it to create these mind maps or diagrams, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so the first step I took in creating this mind map was sort of to dissect the client brief. You know, just like the last video where I showed how you kind of dissect the client brief and you take out the keywords. That's what I did here, and I just started writing down some of the keywords. So I, from that first or like the initial keyword, maybe that would be like a small idea I could write down, or just like another keyword that would make sense from the client brief. So that's like the first thing I started to do. And when I think the practice of doing this, you're starting to slowly get pictures in your head. That's what I did. I started to see a small universe developing. It's just slowly being created in my head, and small, maybe just like a picture or a frame or a style, something like that. Maybe you've seen like a reference before in your head, or maybe you're just coming up with it on the spot. But I think it definitely helps just to keep doing these things. It's like with everything else, it gets easier if you do it like a lot. So I think it's super smart to practice this and do it over again in your personal projects. I think it's a smart thing to look at these or create this mind map before you started to look at like references and inspiration, because you can slowly be like poked in a direction you wanted to go because you saw a style that looks cool. But in this way you sort of have the client's needs before the actual style. So the style is being created because it makes sense to the brand, it makes sense to the client and the target audience and the objective of the actual project. So the practice of doing this again is when you have all these words, you sort of have to be in the line of these words or be in the line of that small universe you're creating. So it's kind of limiting the things you can create, and I see that as a good thing, because it's so easy to just go over the top with anything and you just want to create everything suddenly because you've seen a cool style or something like that. And I think this is here where you really want to use your creativity to create what only you can create. That's where you may become really valuable to the client, because you do something that your mind is taking in their client brief and you're creating a universe that only your mind and creativity can think of. And that's, again, I think this takes practice to do it naturally. I'm definitely not naturally in doing these things. It takes a time sometimes to come up with ideas, probably a lot more than it should. While creating and coming up with these ideas of your own, you just gotta kind of hope that it's something that the client responds to, that they positively like your idea. And I think if you truly think you've done what you can and created the best you could in the information and boundaries the client have given you, I think you have to just act like an expert if the client don't like it, because you have to say that you've done exactly what the client asked for and you've done the best you know how to sort of hit the target audience and hit the objective of the project. And if you really truly have done that, sometimes the clients maybe have an idea of what they want, but they hire you as an expert, so you have to act like an expert. So now that we have sort of written the initial notes and mind map ideas, keywords down, I think it's time to get on to the next like level of notes in the mind map here, to create these ideas and like bring extra ideas in to the actual creation of the content and our universe for this project. So let's just go through some of the notes here. I'm just gonna start from the top, and what I wrote there was shoe, more than one thing. And what I meant by that is, from the client brief, they had something about that this isn't just like the skating shoe, the underground shoe. It's also a shoe that can be used for like maybe special occasions or other things than just what they usually are for, maybe. With that said, I thought that we could do like show the different uses, maybe some multiple situation. And what you can maybe do is build up some characters, but that's gonna introduce like a whole new level to the whole thing. So why not just use the shoes as the characters? So the shoes could be like, some of them could be hanging out, just standing around at some place. Some of them could be skating, so we could have like a skating ramp maybe. And then I wrote having a picnic, but still skaters. And my thoughts with that was like they could sit at like a small park, or sit at like some environment where they would be eating, or at a bench or something like that. But there would still be like a skateboard nearby to support the theme of our target group. Okay, so create awareness. I think some of these sort of like make sense by themselves, but I wrote show the product, because that's kind of obvious. We want to show the product if we want to create awareness about the product. Just makes sense. Multiple colors, because that's one of the features, one of the more important things. Clean look, again, just think about the client brief with these, just makes sense. Then on to the underground/street, and I thought we could do some stickers, because I think especially the underground and like the street, the skating community use stickers, because it looks cool, I guess. But what we could do with that is maybe create some SB or Nike stickers and have them slapped around the scene, just as like a smaller detail thing. And then graffiti, because again, underground community graffiti fits well together, and it sort of can add that those small details. We can even like write things that's maybe a feature or something important, or maybe just smaller details. Then I wrote concrete, because I think we can have like a cool look with the concrete, and it makes sense to the whole underground thing, but it will also look clean. And I then wrote painted, because we could have sort of colors that could match up with the shoes, and we would have sort of like a parallel. We would have sort of like a parallel with the shoes. So on to the skaters. The first thing is music, because I think there's a big culture in the skater community with music. Like they listen to the same music, a lot of them. I just like a feeling I have. But anyway, if they don't really listen to the same music, I think there's a lot of music in the skating culture. So having a speaker playing music, maybe we could have that, and we can even use the stickers on that to tie things together, you know. So after that, social/community, because I think it is a big like community, the skating community, and I think really tap into that with this shoe. That would be like smart for Nike, if it is Nike you're using or the other brand you're going with. But Nike, in my case, that would be smart marketing. I think just social activities, and again, it sort of ties back to maybe like a picnic or just hanging around skating. And I think if it makes sense, like in multiple notes in your mind map, I think you might be onto like an idea. Skateboards, yeah, we could make props and models out of them, maybe, so we could take out the parts or some of the features of the skateboard and create different things. For example, like a bench, where we use like the actual board you stand on. That could be the thing you would be sitting on at a bench. And we could do a light pole where maybe we scale up a skating wheel and the light goes through it, and that's the light pole. Something like that, just think creatively and support your whole theme of the project. Okay, next thing, the clean look, simple scenes, no unnecessary junk. Keep it a bit simple. I think that just sort of makes sense in itself as well. Clean environment and materials also ties back with each other here. But yeah, try to keep it simple. Maybe you kind of want the focus to be on the shoes and not everything else. so that can maybe like add the contrast. But I guess we will really figure that out when we get into the 3D scene. Okay, so our younger target audience. What would that mean? Like, what could we do to hit our younger target? Faster movement maybe, and like create excitement, or have like create the feeling of excitement in your frames maybe. And how can we do that? Maybe having something that the eye can follow, so a lot of movement if we were creating like an animation. And my project here is, as I've said before, a style frame, but it's thought to be the style frame of an animation. So it's supposed to be an animation at some point. This is just to sell the mood. Okay, new things and details the audience can notice. What could that be? So colorful, as I wrote here. And that's, again, just to tie everything together, have some colors, but it also does stand out, I feel like, if you have something in a bright red or bright blue, something like that. You know, the shoes have to be eye-catching. Okay, and then I wrote different color variants, change colors. So what could that be? Maybe if we think about this, because I think it's important to think about it as an animation, even though we're creating the style frames, because that would mean that we've like thought about it as a whole concept and not just creating a picture. And what we maybe could do was like animate the animators who would animate this. You know, you could animate the shoes changing colors to the beat of the music playing or something like that. I think it's just some thoughts to bring along. It's really important to have a full concept and really bring intent to the ideas of the style frame, if it's for an animation especially. So after putting this mind map together, I sometimes like to create like a small, just like a text that describes this, describes the scene that I'm going to create, or like if it was an animation, going to describe the vibe or like the flow of it maybe. So this was maybe something you could do if you had a client to talk to. So this is like the first thing you can show them, and then you can have it. They may have a comment to it, or they may like it, and then you know where to go from there, of course. So I'm just gonna read it up here. I wrote, an environment of simple shapes. Shoes are our characters. Some are hanging out, skating at a skate park. We have a sense of community and activity. Overall, a positive vibe with bright colors. One or more areas have a darker look and a sense of underground. Stickers, graffiti and skateboards will be an ongoing theme in all parts of the scene. Parts of skateboards will be transformed to build objects to fill out the scene. Now I have like a solid description of what I'm going to create, and I feel like now it's comfortable to get into 3D and to start creating the composition. And that will be the next video, where I'll be showing, start building the scene in Cinema 4D and model out some things maybe, or maybe just here in the beginning have at least like block out the things with simpler shapes and simpler geometry. And I will start to build hopefully good composition and talk a bit about the composition parts, what we can use, like what's the tools that we can utilize to actually create a good composition. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this second episode in this series, and I hope you will watch the next one. Thank you.